everybody, it's MLB11XNC22. I'm back, and I finally have a bit of an announcement to make and a deck profile at the same time. Announcement is well, unfortunately my webcam that I've been using died a few weeks ago, so I had to order a new one. But as of today, I got me a new webcam, and I'm using it right now. So, with that being said, I would like to celebrate by doing a deck profile right now. So, the deck we're going to be doing today is my latest update to the Orichalcos challenge, which I haven't done in several months. And I'm going to go through each card, explain what it does, and at the end, also I will be putting the Orichalcos challenge rules for Skype on in the description in the video. So yeah. The Orichalcos challenge for Skype, I will put it into the rules in the description. Anyway, let's start off with Orichalcos Shaman. Level 4, Dark, 1500 attack and defense, and he's a spellcaster. But this is what he does. When this card is normal summoned, you can special summon one level 4 Orichalcos monster from your hand or deck. You can shuffle up to 3 cards in your graveyard back into your deck, then draw 2 cards. You can change this card's level from 1 to 8. You can only control one Orichalcos Shaman on the field. You can only use each effect of Orichalcos Shaman once per turn and only once that turn. A long time ago, and here's some interesting fact about this card. When I first made this card, it was more OP than what it was. Because the original version of this had no restrictions at all. Just simply, hands down, this thing was legit. Anyway, next up, Orichalcos Sorcerer to go with the Shaman. If this card is special summoned by the effect of a level 4 or lower Orichalcos monster, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Orichalcos monster from your hand or deck. You can select one Synchro or Exceed monster in your graveyard and return that card back to the deck, to the extra deck. You can change this card level from 1 to 8. If this card is used for Synchro or Exceed summon, you can add one Orichalcos card from your deck or graveyard to your hand. You can only control one Orichalcos sorcerer on the field. You can only use each effect of Orichalcos sorcerer once per turn and only once that turn. So basically, I would summon this guy, use his effect to bring out this guy. But when I use this guy's effect, though, I bring... Just a minute, people. I would use that effect to bring this out. This is Orichalcos Fairy. And what Fairy does, and she's a tuner monster, a dark level 1 tuner monster. If this card is sent to the graveyard for the same summon of a dark synchro monster, that's dark attributed synchro monster, not dark tuner dark synchro, if you were wondering. Gain 2,000 life points. If you would take damage, you can discard this card from your hand to the graveyard. You take no damage this turn. So basically, I would summon this, this, and this all in one turn. And basically, I would pretty much have everything ready to go for a Synchro or an Exceed summon on the way, which I do run Synchros and Exceeds. Next up, these monsters I really won't have to mention. If you've seen my buddy Mewtwo Overkill's channel, you know who these monsters are, so I really don't need to explain them. 2 Yugioh, but however I will explain the Yugioh, Shunoros, Dexy, and Aristoros at least. Divine Serpent, we know what he does. But this Yugioh, my Yugioh is different. Pay 500 life points to special summon this card. Any damage inflicted upon you from battle or card effects is reduced to 0. When this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, special summon 1 Orichalcos Shunoros from your hand, deck, or graveyard. This was a little more OP than the original, but the thing is... Reason being is... This one... This Yugioh... basically, the anime one could only negate battle damage. This one negates effect damage, which I need the effect damage to get around burn decks, which I know some of you don't like burn decks at all. Even though, the thing about burn decks, and this is a little off topic, for me, burn decks is pretty much a love-hate relationship, basically. I love burn decks, but at the same time, I don't like them if they're used against me. But either way. Next up, Orichalcos Shunoros. Pretty much when Shunoros comes out, you know you gotta have Dexia and Aristoros. And the only effect that's different about Shunoros is that when he leaves the field by any means, all you do is get out Divine Serpent. Next up, the one Gygus. And this Gygus is different, and I'll explain why. When this card is destroyed, you can special summon it immediately. If this effect is used during your opponent's turn, skip your next draw phase. This card gains 500 attack times number of times it was special summoned, yada yada yada, blah blah blah. Well, you know he has a endless resurrection effect. Orichalcos Doom Beetle. If you guys see my past videos, I've used this card in the past. Yep, he's back. Basically, he has the same effects as he did before. I don't need to explain him. You also got 1 Orichalcos Magus. He gains 400 attack for every other Orichalcos monster I control. 1 Lord of the Orichalcos Army. If you see my past videos, you know who this is. 1 Malevolence, iconic anime card. This one. This is Orichalcos Necromancer. And what he does is, when this card is normal summoned, I can shuffle 1 Orichalcos card from my graveyard back into my deck to draw 1 card. So basically, it's a recycler for Orichalcos cards. Next up, Ricky the Fifth Swordsman. Yes, I know. I actually have myself as a card. Isn't this too funny? But here's what he does. Darkness, spell, and trap cards I control cannot be destroyed by card effects, including set cards. When this card is normal summoned, you can have 1 Darkness or 1 Orichalcos field spell card from your deck to your hand. Once per turn, you can target 1 Darkness or Orichalcos monster in your graveyard, banish that target. This card gains the effect or effects of that target until the end phase. So basically, I can just banish an Orichalcos monster from my graveyard and he gains its effects. Simple as that. Next up, Orichalcos Priestess. What this does is, during each of my standby phases, I gain 500 life points for each monster I control, once per turn, and only once that turn. I can pay 1,000 life points to special summon 1 level 4 or lower Orichalcos monster from my graveyard. However, that monster's effects are negated. I can only control 1 Orichalcos Priestess level. Basically, she's either there to get a synchro summon or an Xyz summon, one or the other. Next up, Universal Xyz material. Oh, dang it! I dropped a card again, people. There it is. I found it. Anyway, Universal Xyz material. What this does is, this card cannot be used as a synchro this card cannot be used as a single material monster. If this card is used as an Xyz material, the Xyz material's attack and defense are increased by 500. Once per turn, you can activate one of these effects. Target one monster you control. This card's level becomes the same as that target's until the end phase. Or the other effect, I can target one Xyz monster I control, and I can attach this card to it as an Xyz material. So basically, it's another Xyz material. Next up, Earthbound Immortal Orichalcos. What this does, there can only be one face-up Earthbound Immortal monster on the field. If there is no face-up field spell card on the field, destroy this card. Your opponent cannot select this card as an attack target. This card can attack your opponent directly. Once per turn, you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls, equip the target to this card. This card gains 300 attack for each equipped card equipped to this card. When this card leaves the field because of your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, you can draw one card for each equipped card that was equipped to this card. So basically with this, I can just keep equipping your monsters, and if this thing would leave the field by my opponent, I get to draw some cards out of the deal. Next up, Orichalcos Dragon Chaotix. What this does is this card cannot be normal summon or sack. This card can only be special summoned by attributing 5 monsters while Orichalcos Shunoros is on my side of the field. This card is unaffected by the effects of spell, trap, and monster effects. Once per turn, I contribute 3 monsters on my side of the field to destroy all cards my opponent controls. If Orichalcos Shunoros is not on my side of the field, this card is destroyed. It says your side of the field, but it's basically the same thing. But anyway, got another Doom Beetle. This one is called Orichalcos Knight, and what he does is, when this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, I can pay 500 life points to add one Orichalcos card from my graveyard main. So basically, each time I destroy an opponent's monster by battle, I can pretty much get another Orichalcos card from my graveyard. Next up, Traveler of the Orichalcos. What this does is, when this card is normal summoned, I can special summon one level 4 or lower Orichalcos monster from my hand or deck, but its effects are negated. Also, it cannot be used as a single material. You can discard this card from your hand to add one Orichalcos card from your deck to your hand. Basically, search power. Next up, in the last monster of my deck, Orichalcos Ghast. And what he does, when summoned, change one monster your opponent controls to defense position. When this card is destroyed, return one monster your opponent controls to the hand. You must control the Seal of Orichalcos to use this card's effects. So if I don't control the seal, I can't use this thing's effects. But once it's destroyed, it's a compulse. Next up is the Spell and Trap card lineup. So for the first up, I am running 3 copies of the Seal of Orichalcos. This isn't the anime effect version, like how it was in the show. This is the UDE, the Upper Deck Entertainment Seal of Orichalcos. And here's the difference. If people don't know what this does, I will read it. This spell card is impervious to negation, destruction, and removal. Increase the attack power of all your monsters by 500. You control a back row of monsters that cannot be attacked while a monster is in the front row. Send this card from your hand to the graveyard to negate and destroy any card. The soul of whichever duelist loses the soul is forfeited to the winner. So that's basically what the seal does in a nutshell. Next up, 1 Dutros. So basically, I would send the seal to the grave to activate Dutros, and what Dutros does, he gains the effects of the Seal of Orichalcos, plus, during each of my standby phases, I gain 500 life points for each monster I control. And if somehow, when an opponent's monster declares direct attack, I contribute 1 monster to destroy the attacking monster. Next up, Tritos protects all my monsters from my opponent's spell traps. Next up, Orichalcos Gateway. And what this does is, once per turn, I can activate one of the following effects. 1, I can pay 500 life points to shuffle 1 Orichalcos card from my hand or graveyard back into the deck, then the deck, and then draw 1 card. Number 2, I can pay 1,000 life points to add 1 Orichalcos card from my deck or graveyard to my hand. So basically, it's Orichalcos I, but with another effect. Next up, 2 Chosen Destiny. I can pay 500. I can pay 1,000 life points to either add an Orichalcos card from my deck to my hand, or I can destroy them. Next up, I'm also running 2 copies of Orichalcos Transfer Draw, and what this does is I shuffle 1 Orichalcos, Midnight Calling, or Divine Serpent monster from my hand or into the deck, and then draw 2 cards. Basically, I can put one of my Orichalcos monsters back to pretty much play Pot of Greed, basically. Now we're getting into the anime section of the deck. Next up, first up, Spell Sanctuary. When this is activated, we both get to add. Both players get to add 1 spell card from their deck to their hand, and as long as this is on the field, all spell cards can be activated as quick play spell cards. So basically, all normal spell cards can pretty much be upgraded while this is on the field to spell speed 2, basically. And next up, let's see. This is the all-powerful Gravearm card, and what Gravearm does is destroy 1 monster on the field. While that monster is in the graveyard, it cannot be special summoned. Next up, Water of Life. This allows me to resurrect a monster from my graveyard in face-up attack position. Next up, the anime version of Monster Reincarnation. I return 1 monster in my graveyard to my deck. Next up, I am running 2 copies of Rebirth Tablet. This is a card Bakura used in the anime, and what this card does is I activate only when a monster I control is destroyed by battle. I special summon 1 monster from my graveyard. So yeah, Resurrection Power. Next up, Orichalcos Shunoros. I tribute 1 Orichalcos monster, then I target 2 cards my opponent controls, and I send those cards to the graveyard. Next up, Briar's Transplant. Briar Transplant, the most broken trap card in my deck, and here's why. Banish 1 card on the field. This card does not target people. It does not target at all. So basically, if you have a Beals on the field, I can get rid of it. Next up, I got Trickmere. And what Trickmere does is I activate only when my opponent activates a trap card. That trap card's effect is activated as this card's effect instead. So basically, if my opponent decides to activate a trap card, I can pretty much take it with this. Next up, I can put this out of the way, and I will reveal the extra deck. Okay, next up, I am running... Now, if you see my last deck profile, you'll recognize some of these. I am running 2... I'm running 1 Orichalcos Dragon. Only running 1. You only need 1 in this deck. So I don't need to explain him. Next up, I am running 1 Orichalcos Drake. What Drake does is it requires 2 level 4 Orichalcos monsters. Once per turn, you can detach 1 Excelsior from this card, special summon 1 level 4 Orichalcos monster from your deck in face-up attack position. It cannot attack this turn. Face up exceeds monsters my opponent controls cannot activate their effects while this card has exceeds materials. Their effects are negated. You must control a face up the Seal of Orichalcos to resolve this card's effects. So yeah, this thing, while it may have low attack points for high defense points, it's really good. Next up, Darkly Bounty on Exceed Dragon, the anime effect version. Next up, put these back. I'll put these there later. Now, if I was running a Dark Tuner monster in this, you guys would be seeing this. But since I don't run a Dark Tuner monster, I'll leave this special card as a surprise. Anyway, Dark Yugioh X. What this does is it requires 2 level 4 level 4 dark monsters. Once per turn, I can detach one exceed from this card to add 1 Orichalcos card from my deck to my hand. Basically, more search power. Next up, number 108, Orichalcos Dragon. What this does is it also requires 2 level 4 Orichalcos monsters. Once per turn, during your player's turn, you can activate one of these effects. Effect number 1, I can detach 1 exceed from this card, add 1 Orichalcos monster from my deck or graveyard to my hand. Effect number 2, I can detach 1 Orichalcos soldier monster from my hand or graveyard to the... I can attach 1 Orichalcos soldier monster from my hand or graveyard to this card. Next up, Orichalcos Shunoros. And what this does, well, requires 2 level 6 Orichalcos monsters. While this card has exceeds material, it's also a level 10 monster. Once per turn, you can detach 1 exceeds from this card, special, and 1 Orichalcos monster from your graveyard. Face up special monsters your opponent controls cannot activate their effects while this card has exceeds materials. Their effects are negated. You must control face up the Seal of Orichalcos to resolve this card's effects. Next up, from the Yugioh Zexo anime, your Zeta Felix back. Next up, Warlock of Orichalcos. And what this does is 2 level 4 monsters, 2 level 4 spellcaster type monsters. Once per turn, you can attach 20 seasons from this to activate one of these effects, one of the following effects. I can either destroy 1 card my opponent controls or discard 1 random card from my opponent's hand to the graveyard. That's it. Next up, my last Exceeds monster, Alexandramore, Dragon of the Orichalcos, and what it does... hang on just a minute, people. Okay, people, I'm back. I severely apologize for that. Okay. As I was saying, Alexandramore, what this does is it's 4 level 4 Orichalcos monsters. Once per duel, yeah, it says once per duel, you can detach all exceeds heroes from this card to destroy all cards on my opponent's side of the field. This card cannot attack unless you send the top 10 cards of your deck to the graveyard. 2,500 attack, 4,000 defense points. Next up, this is my Synchro lineup. First up, Primeval Armory Dragon. And what this does, 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. Once per turn, you can choose 3 Orichalcos cards from your deck. Then your opponent randomly picks 1 of them to add to your hand. And you shuffle the rest back into the deck. Once per turn, you can target 1 other face-up card you control. That target cannot be targeted by other card effects until your opponent's next end phase. So that's one of my Synchro monsters. The other one, Dark Dragoon Knight Vajrayana, and what this does, 1 Dark Tuner plus 1 or more non-tuner monsters. When this card is Synchro summoned, you can target one level 3 or lower or dark monster in your graveyard. Equip that target to this card. Once per turn, you can send one equipped card equipped to this card to the graveyard. Add one Orichalcos or Dark Divinity card from your deck to your hand. There are, this is pretty much the only Divinity related card I have in here. Well, custom-wise. Next up, Orichalcos King. And what this does is one Orichalcos tuner plus one or more non-tuner Orichalcos monsters. Once per turn, you can banish one card your opponent controls. However, on the turn you activate this effect, this card cannot attack. If this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle, banish it instead of sending it to the graveyard. When this card is destroyed by your opponent's card, either by battle or by card effect, and sent to the graveyard, you gain 1,000 life points. Next up, Orichalcos Hydra. 1 Orichalcos tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. Once per turn, you can special summon one level 4 or lower Orichalcos monster from your graveyard. This card gains 500 attack and defense for each Orichalcos monster I control. And last but not least, Orichalcos Hero. 1 tuner plus one or more non-tuner monsters. When this card is single summoned, you can special summon one Orichalcos monster from your graveyard. Once per turn, while you control an Orichalcos field spell card, you can pay 1,000 life points to draw one card. So pretty much it. That's it, people. This is my new Orichalcos deck. And this is pretty much everything. So basically, that's pretty much the deck profile and the announcement itself. I will post the rules of the Orichalcos challenge in the description bar below, as well as my Skype name for those of you if you wish to challenge it. But anyway, people, I think that's all the time I have. So until next time, this is MLB11XNC22 saying, see you later.